Thank you. My name is Ahmed Adamu Abdul Qadir, and I'm a director of Omatec Nigeria Limited. I am from Gombe State. I was presidential advisor on manufacturing and private sector from 2003 till 2007. I was the national chairman of Alliance for Democracy from 2000 to 2003. And I was senator-elect of the FCT and the UNCP that was in 1998. Well, let me say, way back as in 2005, when Mrs. Cherokee came to make her presentation about Omatec to my boss, then President Obasanjo, when I was his advisor on manufacturing and private sector. I took keen interest to understudy and understand what she was doing in the field of telecommunication and ICT, which interests me, and knowing fully that it's a very difficult terrain, and yet she's been working so hard to succeed in that field. I thought it was a challenge for someone to equally see how best he can support that challenge and see that things to do with ICT is accepted locally and is produced locally in our environment. You see, Omatec has every reason to compete with the foreign brand because all the components of Omatec are being sourced from the first line computer items globally. And we have gone on roadshow to go and see where all of these components are sourced. And we'll be surprised to know that Omatec possesses one of the best computer products globally today. And it is fully registered. It's fully licensed. So there's nothing that you can think that Omatec does not have over and above other computers that are fully built outside Nigeria and brought into the country. It is quite unfortunate that Nigerians always prepare to see a brand called made in the US, made in UK, made in Japan, made in Germany. This is the core problem that this country has today, because we tend to believe that anything that is produced locally, if we patronize it, we're degrading ourselves. Unfortunately, it's supposed to be the other way around. When you patronize local products, be it computers, vehicles, shoes, wares, anything that you produce locally and patronize it within the country, you are promoting yourself. You are creating jobs for your children. You are creating wealth for the nation. But we always tend to have this negative idea that anything produced in Nigeria is inferior. And I tend to disagree with that. So my views is one has to do as much as possible as a nation to see how best we can be able to support products that are locally made in this country and see that it's been fully patronized by all the Nigerian institutions. All the Nigerian youth are supposed to start patronizing this product called Made in Nigeria, especially in the field of ICT. Well, the issue with the stock market, obviously, is not something that affected one person and does not affect the other. Even those who have really made it so big out of the stock market are those who are greatly affected. Not to talk about people like us that have minimum shares, where you can compare it with the big holders have. So the most important thing is, obviously in every economy, you find the ups and the downs, and then the ups. So we've seen the ups and we've seen the downs. Now we are now looking at the ups coming up again. And hopefully this time when it comes back, we are going to use it wisely and make sure that it's sustained in a most moderate manner that it can go a long way. The future of manufacturing in this country is very bright. Simple things that manufacturers need in this country is continuous and substantial support from the government in terms of policy. So once there is a substantial and continuous support from the government in the area of policy, obviously Omatech will go a long way, just like the other ICT industries, telecommunication industries, automotive industries, building materials industries, shoes, bags, and what have you. All that these manufacturers require from the government is a continual and sustainable policy support that will encourage them to do the best that they're doing. And equally, that's the only time that our teeming youth that are unemployed in this country can be able to gain some employment. At the same time, if you look at the government, each and every day government is shrinking. The best way that you can have government to do what is expected in terms of employment generation is to come out fully and support the private sector. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, banks are only supporting and giving out loan to the public sector rather than the private sector. And so long as the banks will continue to keep giving the public sector all the deserved attention in terms of bonds that is being run each and every day, or treasury bills that's being run both by the central bank and the debt management office, to some extent by the other state government. Obviously, this is the little resources that is supposed to be channeled to the private sector to boost the economy. Now it's been used for infrastructure that you don't even see. So obviously, unless the attention is taken out from the public sector into the private sector by the banks, there is hardly any progress the private sector institutions can make. The banks are always ready to take their resources to the public sector because they believe it's more secured, where they can give all that they can give at perhaps, let's say, between 9 to 12% interest rate. Because the resources has gone that way, the little that is left is what they will now try to channel to the private sector, and at the same time double the interest rate that they will end up charging the private sector. And there's no way you can develop an economy channeling the chunk part of the resources to the sector that does not really create the jobs, and leaving the sector that the employment is supposed to be created with virtually nothing. So obviously, lack of employment will continue to be there for a long time unless the trend is changed. My plea to the general public is to look at the product called Made in Nigeria with a positive thinking, and see to it that all of the computers that is produced anywhere in the world does not surpass anything that is being produced by Omatech in any way. And obviously, at the same time, it's my own wish and hope that Omatech, like every other ICT industry, will also try to develop some other new products that will go and compete with what you have in terms of the tablets that's been produced by other industries of the world. Because, of course, we know that the trend now is moving from laptops, desktop, to the tablets. But obviously, our rate of development is not as fast as the United States, Europe. So those who need computers in the country are still on the larger side. But it's also good to start thinking ahead, so that with time we can be able to produce the tablets that will equally cost far less and give the young people, those who are in the educational institutions, value for their money. It's something that Omatech has to look at critically, and that is one of my advice that will go into the board of the company to start working on that as soon as possible.